Sister Kiara, who is in the chat here, says something, asks a very, very powerful question here. She says, why is my womb stuck in teenager mode? My hormones levels are that of a 19-year-old, and I'm almost 50. I'm ready for the pause, and it's not happening.
Mm. Mm. Go for it.
Oh, I was just going to say, is she still sexually active?
I believe she is.
Okay.
She's saying she's doing a lot.
Well, as women, we have three. Typically, we have three phases that we go through, kind of like mother, maid, and crone. And so, Mother Nature, when you're in that mother phase, Mother Nature like steadily tries to get you pregnant, like every single month. And the more that you have sex, those hormones are firing off, the dopamine, the oxytocin, and it's actually good vaginal health the more sex you have, but it's telling the brain we are not in crone mode yet. So instead of going into that menopause phase, her body is actually still in mother phase. And every woman goes through this, whether you're a mother or not, your body naturally will be in that mother phase where it's trying to get you pregnant. So it just means that she has a healthy sex life, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And the more that she continues to be sexually active, it may prolong those hormones being dispersed through her body. That's why she kind of feels like a teenager, if that makes sense.
And she actually added, very important, she's married. So, it's a good thing.
Oh, yeah, he's very happy.
I'm also kind of curious on where is the source value of the perspective that says, I want to stop it. So what's going on there?
Right.
Yeah.
And why? So there's something that you need to ask yourself why you want the pause, because you are still you. You are you. You are being. And so if you're questioning or you're correcting or you're rushing, then there's a lack of presence, and you have to understand why are you avoiding this lack of presence? Like what's happening there? Why you want to stop yourself? That she's tired of bleeding.
So she's adding two things here, very important. She says, it's not that much sex though. We are tired and old and work a lot. And she's adding, I'm tired of bleeding. That's pretty much what she's saying.
There's so much power in the blood, by the way.
So much. There's like if you can get intimate with your body and really understand what happens when you are on your moon cycle. Like every egg that you drop has tremendous amounts of primordial energy. So when you are in that, so when you're in that space, outside of your womb telling you, okay, this is what we need to do to balance. Okay, like maybe you didn't get enough sleep, maybe you didn't, so now you're narcoleptic. Maybe you want space and you're cranky because you have not been giving yourself space. Like your body is telling you something. Your body is telling you something, and you have been ignoring it. And then that work a lot, and you telling us that you are tired and old. These lips, life and death. You understand? So what's happening with you is larger, much larger than that. And so I ask you to sit with your why. And those cramps and all of those things are still connected to emotions and things that have been repressed.
Powerful. She's adding, she said, I guess you read what she wrote. I have cramps and I was bleeding for over 14 days in April. Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, there's a specific timing that we're in right now. There's a specific timing that we're in. The pandemic made everybody sit down, right? So we had this great sit down, and it made everyone look at themselves, as Nicki Monty shared. And if you have not been doing your personal work and looking at yourself and using the opportunity, we have broken so many paradigms on this planet already. Just by that sit down for this amount of time. So there are paradigms that you still are asking yourself to break. And so these cramps are pain. Again, what Adara was saying, the organs that we have, they process certain emotions. our wombs, our brains. So if you're having this pain, there are things that you are not processing. And if you're talking about the womb space, that's having to do with how you feel about yourself, how you feel about your desires, how you feel about your relationships, how you feel about your sisters, your brothers, your daddy, your mommy, how you feel about your own creation, how you are creating, how you're holding shame. I can go on the list. But I'm saying, please do not blame your body. Do not blame your body, because your body keeps showing up for you. Your body continues to work towards finding homeostasis. No matter how far out you bring it, it tries to bring itself back. Your heart keeps beating no matter what you put in front of it. That is unconditional love. So please don't blame your body. And this is my primordial self speaking, because again, you are not your body. Your body is loyal to you. Your body is loyal to you. And you know what? I hear everything you said. You're talking about angry idiots at work. You're talking about you've been overwhelmed because your boss is giving you all these responsibilities that are not yours. Did you not hear this woman just finish talking about how when she cleared her womb, that's when she started to attract different relationships and different situations? Baby, it is really difficult for us to take full responsibility for what this life is. It is painful. It's difficult to look at ourselves. It's embarrassing for ourselves to look at. But I promise you, if you allow yourself to be gentle, if you ask yourself, how can I give myself more space? If you can ask yourself, you know what? Even if I give myself 10 minutes a day just to fully breathe, people sometimes don't even know how to breathe fully.
So true.
So what's happening right now, and I'm grateful that you're sharing this, because you are a mirror for so many. And we're gonna keep going. Boom, you did it. But you are a part of source. You are entitled to creation because you are part of creation. So when you are able to center that, give yourself some patience, you will find your center, please. And feel free to reach out to any one of us.
Yeah.
Hey,
I will definitely be adding all the details. I'm adding your name as well to the flyer as well. As soon as we're done with the show, I'll redo the whole flyers and everything. So we got all the names properly added. But I think you ladies tapped into something very, very powerful, and I think that's something that I would like for you as women, goddesses, queens, to now help men understand, because you see, again, as you said earlier, there is a misconception and a lack of understanding, I guess, that women have towards these topics. And can you please touch a little bit more on that, and maybe that could echo what Nikki was saying about breaking the program that we've created for ourselves.
I healed my husband.
Oh, please speak
Yeah,
to that.
she's okay. Let me say this. It was Onika coming into my life last year as an old soul sister, and I went to her house and I sat in ceremony with her, and her womb is so powerful that I just saw a lot of shit, and I don't even know if I can speak on it, but all I know is that this woman's womb is so fruitful and powerful that the children that she's birthing are going to do wonderful things for humanity. And she's doing wonderful things for humanity. And her husband is doing wonderful things to assist the brothers and sisters here in humanity. And me going to her house triggered the real work for my womb, because her husband understands the process and he knows how to speak to women and ceremony and everything.
But please talk on that, because
I'll have her
for
talk
now,
about. I'll have her talk
Sister
about
Onika,
it.
please talk about, because I'd like for us to get as detailed as possible, because a lot of these conversations, I hear them. Sometimes I watch some shows on YouTube and I'm like, yeah, but we're not tapping into the real deal here. Like, I need to have tools now. As a man, I need to understand, like, what do you guys mean? Like, how can you educate us, and how can we educate each other, and how can it just be something that feels like a natural conversation instead of a weird, kind of topic to talk to or to touch on, when it actually is completely natural, or should be natural, I guess. Sister Onika.
Well, the number one thing for our brothers, they have to heal their mother wound. That's where everything starts at. And it's like when you don't heal that mother wound, they grow up and they're wounded men. And some of them subconsciously hate women and don't even realize that they hate women. And it's all based on how their mother showed up for them or did not show up for them.
So okay, but then okay, I understand that. But then my says that as a grown adult, you should at a certain point, raise yourself right to a certain level of understanding and develop a capacity to sort of like assess the situation and I guess assess yourself, right? So is it just something? Is it only to be faulted on the bringing and the lack thereof of whatever love they should have had from their mother, or yeah, go ahead, because you're a mother yourself. You ladies are mothers, so please go ahead.
For my husband, to me, I didn't look at it like, oh, you're grown, you should be over this. No, I made him go back and face that 5-year-old little boy that was hurt by his mother. So you really have to go back and almost like save yourself, like go back and heal that moment where you felt betrayed by your mother or by your father. And it doesn't matter, you could be 80 years old, that pain still hits like it happened yesterday. So that's where we started with him, and it was so transformative. But because he secretly had hate for his mother and didn't even realize it and stuff. And then when he would explain things too that she did, he was looking at it from a skewed perspective. What was what I'm looking for? A skewed perception. Almost like a 4-year-old's eyes. He was looking at it through a 4-year-old's eyes, not as a grown man. And so we had to really, really heal that inner child within him and heal that mother wound and the father wound as well. And that's where the work really begins, because if you don't heal that inner child, nothing else after that you do is going to work, because you're still going to be carrying that pain from when you got hurt at 3, 4, or 5, or let's say you got molested, your mom didn't believe you, or your daddy didn't do nothing about it, and you could be 47 and that you're still going to feel that pain. You have to go back and deal with that moment in time that caused you that stress, that devastation, that trauma.
And one of the ways to go about working on these, I guess, past memories is to get in touch with you, for example, in this particular matter, and if one doesn't have that opportunity, what could be one of the first practice one should go about to maybe start doing initial work, because as you just said very well, it can be very, very painful.
Yeah, so the first step, you have to be true to yourself. You cannot lie to yourself. Sometimes we lie to ourselves so much, we start believing the lies and we block out certain memories. So we even forget that it happens. But what that means is that memory is just hiding somewhere in an organ, rotting, and might turn up as cancer.
Powerful.
So it's not going anywhere.
Yes.
Just because you chose to forget about it, it might show up as colon cancer. Because now every time you think about it, you get anxiety. So you don't think about it, but your colon is holding it now. So you got to be honest with yourself. If you don't tell the truth to nobody else, tell the truth to yourself. And another thing you can do is start journaling it down, not to share with others, but really for yourself. And sometimes you have to write a letter to somebody that hurt you, that molested you. And really get it out. Tell them how you feel. They could have ruined your sex life for the rest of your life, or took away your ability to have kids, or devastated you, like whatever they did. Put it on paper. Write it down. You may have to write a letter to your mother or your father. Sometimes people's parents are deceased. So this is another good therapy to do if your parents are transitioned already, is write it down. And then you can either burn it or bury it. after you get it out, but you want to get it out.
Cleaning the memories of the past in order to free yourself from any potential harmful diseases.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like you have to get some type of retribution. You know, you can't go through such a trauma and then nothing is done about it. Like you have to get some type of retribution.
Yeah. Give the person or that time period or yourself justice.
There you go.
Yes. Body justice, body reparation. This is what we've been talking about. Yeah.
And it's almost like a purge, like you're throwing it up, you're getting it out the body. But you got to get it out, because if it stays in, eventually it's just going to show up as sickness.
And and so and that falls back into something that Nicki Monty said earlier about the medicine, healing with medicine. What does it mean? What is that medicine? And is the medicine? Are you the medicine, as in the person doing the work, or besides you being the medicine? And that's me now. Adding a little bit more to that. Or is that an actual medicine, or a series of certain things that substances you need to consume that can play the role of medicine?
So for me, I'm more so your guide. I'm holding your hand, but you got to do the work. But I can present medicine, but I can't take it for you. You have to go through those steps and walk that path. I'll hold the light on the path and point to it, but you actually have to take that walk. Now, what I find out what works best for people of color, and it works for everybody, but I'm specifically talking about people of color because we have been traumatized, measures untold, just with slavery and everything that we've been through. Plant medicine is like the number one go-to. If you are able to take plant medicine, it's absolutely the number one go-to to heal pain and trauma and shame. Like perfect example, when I minister, I have my own method of administering Hape. I can take off 30 years worth of trauma in one sitting in the way that I administer it, because I don't just blow and go. I'm actually taking you through a totally complete full ritual. So with plant medicine for people of color is the number one thing, and especially men, because they got to get punched in the face, not physically, but spiritually and proverbially. You got to like knock it out of them. And a lot of men need it hard, because they'll be like, oh, I can't feel it. Or so you gotta kind of come with some heat when you're dealing with men of color.
Wow.
And also I wanted to speak to that too. The plants are our allies. So they don't actually, they assist us in removing trauma. They assist us in moving through these programs that we've been programmed with. So they're not there to do the work for you. You have to choose to go on that journey, because there are a lot of people that do medicine and they'll still stay in a specific state of mind because they don't accept the message.
There you go.
It's the programming. You have to be willing and ready to go on this journey, because once you step in it, you will never be the same if you actually step into it honestly and openly. And most people that are doing medicine, or the people that are actually in it for the right reason, we understand that there's no shame, there's no judgment. I'm very, open with my conversations. I don't care. I don't have fear. I talk about all the time how I'm still in a state of wanting to move forth into appreciating my body fully. And me and Nikki have had that conversation, and I'm constantly going through that, but I understand and accept that that's something I'm working on. So I'll utilize the medicine, or I'll sit without the medicine and I'll use sound as a medicine or something else. But they're just here as allies and supports on our journey. They're not something that we should be fully dependent on, because even having this conversation is medicine.
100%.
Yeah.
And I wanted to add to that, because I've seen people that want to sit with grandmother, for instance, 30 times. You don't need to sit with grandmother 30 times. Really, one or two sessions, you're going to get the full downloaded message, and then you have to apply what the plant medicine told you to your life. And sometimes people don't want to do the work. They just say, oh, I need another ceremony. No, you need to work on what the last ceremony told you to do.
And grandmother's ayahuasca for those that don't know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's important. I was about to say, because this is the thing, right? There's a lot of profane people who are not necessarily versed into the lingo that we're using as well. So I think it's important to go as detailed as possible in order for them to understand. So it's important for you to add. So grandmother is ayahuasca, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. And so, but ayahuasca in essence then would be Mother Earth, or something that taps into the essence of. Because by grandmother, usually when you think of grandmother, it really is a very anchoring energy. It's a refuge to our representation of what peace and love and just absolute and total generosity should be represented as, right? And it's interesting, for example, if you see, for example, there's a lot of, for example, marriages where you'll see the mother of the wife or the husband who doesn't like the partner, for example, and then they bring life, and then the children, the fruit of these unions, are usually regarded as not pure or not of value sometimes by the grandparents, when technically there's nothing more pure than that, right? I always say giving life, and so these kids eventually get to grow with also traumas projected, I would say, as they grow, but also as they were probably in the womb. How do you go about protecting yourself as a woman and as a man from these kind of attacks, which are highly spiritual, even though that person might not be doing anything mystical per se, but just the projection of the thought, the negative thought, is magic in a way. So how do you go about protecting yourself from these kind of things?
So every day, someone should have some type of spiritual hygiene practice in place. What I like to tell people is you get up and brush your teeth every day, right? You get up and take a shower every day. So you can't go clean the shower, and 3 months later, why is there soap scum? Why is there mildew in the shower? So it's the same thing with spiritual protection. When you wake up, it should be certain prayers you just automatically say to protect you from known and unknown things that may be coming at you. And so if you just get in the habit of doing that, stuff will fall off you like water. It won't even hit. It'll just get close, fall off, because you're already in alignment with saying your different prayers. Because again, you don't know what direction it's coming from. So if you're just saying general prayers in the manner you're most comfortable praying, but asking the creator, your guardian angels, to protect you, to return to the sender anything that's not in alignment with your highest and greatest good, you're going to be protected. So that's the number one thing, calling in your own protection. And then you won't have to worry about people consciously or subconsciously ill wishing you or trying to send bad things your way or negative energy.
Sister Nikki Morgan,
Yeah.
and Sister Onika, and Nicki Monty, when she comes back, how did this journey got revealed to you? Were you always versed in these knowledges? And if not, what triggered the change and the progress, I would better say?
Well, for me, I was born with memories that weren't from this vessel. And I would look at myself in the mirror and say, wait, my face is not going to change. Like it was baffling to me. And I was multi-orgasmic by the time I was 15.
So explain that, please. What does it mean to be multi-orgasmic?
So many people. Okay, so I'll approach it from a Taoist perspective. Taoists speak of nine levels of orgasm, and in general, people in the world think that by the time they get to their fourth level of orgasm, which is, you start to feel the tension build in the body. You feel the squeezing and the pulsation of your womb or your prostate. Well, there are other levels of orgasm, and the 9th level speaks to a mini death, or as the French call it, the petite mort. And so I have been able to access the petite mort from when I was 15, and then eventually it opened me up to being multi-orgasmic, to walking orgasmically, where I experience ecstasy and bliss just from being happy to see a friend, a sunrise, being able to be in this. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, it was important for you to explain that, because automatically when you see this, the construction of the idea of orgasm, we hear orgasm, we automatically think like, no, and it can be different things, No,
the only reason orgasm feels so amazing is, again, because we're coming from, these physical bodies are coming from a limited perspective of self, and orgasm, in essence, because it shuts down that prefrontal cortex, it opens up to your infinites. So it is a reconciling between your infinite self and your vessel's understanding of I'm like this. So it's like trying to push a lot of water through a tiny little hole, and then eventually the hole kind of has to open up a little bit.
I get it.
So what it did was it opened me up to understanding even more about what I am in this vessel, in this time, and my connectedness to everything and everyone. So it doesn't make things easier, as far as, the things you go through are still the things that you go through. However, like when I first engage in physical exchange, sexual exchange, because I already knew what I was, I took a year to decide on who I was going to choose. And then when I did, and I shared with my girlfriends spoke of like the pain and the challenges that they had, and I naturally offered them, like, oh, well, maybe you want to do it with my partner, not understanding yet not understanding yet how and what that meant for that paradigm that they were holding. So I've just been very open, and it sometimes is extremely painful because you open up in others in a different way. But it allows me to be able to be grounded in my pain because I'm grounded in my pleasure.
I understand.
Yeah.
But for somebody who doesn't understand for somebody who doesn't understand what you just dropped now, when you say something, you say, "What about you try with my partner?" What does that mean, and what does that consist of exactly? As in, you literally share your partner with them, or what was the process about it? Because you when at what age, if you don't mind me asking, did you started to really interact physically with a partner, sexually?
So
if you don't mind me asking, of course.
No, I don't mind. I'm fine with it. So I started looking for a partner by the time I was 13, and by 14 I found one. 15 was when I was making my offers, or I met when I made that offer, and it gave me a paradigm of, no, not everybody thinks this way, and I truly just saw everyone as me. So then being able to now use that openness with discernment was my walk.
So you have no sense of jealousy whatsoever?
No, there's definitely jealousy, but I'll get jealous. For a little while, I was jealous of people that were able to take naps in the middle of the day, and that was a real jealousy, and I had to deal with it. I really had to deal with it. Okay. It was so serious. It was, and so again, we all have, while we all may perceive these value systems differently, it's still something that exists, and all these emotions have a place. They all have a place. So you don't have to feel like, oh my gosh, I was angry. Angry burns things up. Shame slows things down. Guilt halts things. Anxiety, you're looking in the future, and so you're not able to see the present. All of these emotions have mechanical, very technical things, because that is how the bodies work. But that's part of decolonizing our emotions. So once I was able to find the jealousy piece, I was like, oh, okay, let me step back and see, what story am I telling myself that's making me feel this jealousy? What is it indicating for me? Because jealousy is a comparative thing. Jealousy is a self-valuing thing. But just because someone else is doing that doesn't make me less valuable.
True.
And so for me, my perspective when I offered was, I'm having all of this joy. Let me share.
Yeah, that's powerful. Not for everybody, indeed, because it requires, I guess, for you, it's not even an exercise. It's just who you are.
Yes,
so I understand this perspective. Sister Onika, what was your moment that
man. You said, what was my moment? Well,
or your moments, if there was many. I don't know.
So my start began when I was 19, when I went to massage therapy school. That's kind of like my background.
Okay.
And me and my mom, we went to massage therapy school together and graduated. So that was actually my very first introduction to like Eastern medicines, chakra centers, Reiki, things like that. But where I'm from in the Midwest, they would price stuff so high where no one really could afford it. Like a person of color living on like a paycheck to paycheck type of thing. So I'd always like wonder about like Reiki and things, but never could actually afford to get into it. But that was my introduction to like alternative forms of healing. So then fast forward, my grandmother had passed away September 24th, 2013. And 3 days later, when I was asleep in my movie room, she came to me. She literally like woke me up and came to me. And she was this huge, just mass of energy. It wasn't like in the movies where you see the little apparition. She was a huge mass of energy. And it was a whole bunch of stringy balls of light. And she was like this close to my face. I don't know why, but she was this close to my face. And when I woke up, I just remember looking and was like, grandmother. I have no idea even how I knew it was her, but I knew that was my grandmother. And the moment I said that, it felt like she just threw a blanket of bliss over me. I felt like I was like levitating. It was the most beautiful feeling in the world. And I did not want to leave it. Eventually, it like dissipated. And my parents were sleeping down the hall. And I jetted down the hall. And I woke them up and I told them what happened. I was like, grandmother just came to me. And my dad thought I was dreaming. He was like, oh my God, you know, she came to you in a dream. No, daddy, this just happened. Like she woke me up. Like, and we was all just sitting there crying. And so after that, though, I became like crazy sensitive. Like it felt like I stuck my finger in a power outlet where I start like hearing spirit. I start feeling when stuff was in the room. And I'm like, is anybody else feeling this? Like, this is crazy. And so normal people that are supposed to be just getting a massage, people start coming to me with like stuff attached to them. And I'm like, it like totally reminded me of like the movie The Exorcist. And I'm just like, what am I supposed to do with this? You know, because I didn't know what to do. And so one particular girl that came, she regressed, I think, to maybe her 5-year-old self, but something came out of her and was like, get the F off of me. And her voice changed. And I was just, and I'm literally like with a singing bowl, like la, la, la. And I was like, whoa, okay. And so I just kept calling her name because it felt like something just pushed her in the passenger seat and took over the car. And I just kept calling her name over and over again. I was like, sis, can you hear me, sis? And it's just over and over and over again. And I went through that for probably an hour. And then something my massage teacher said to me popped in my head. And it was like, what my massage teacher said was like, one time she was massaging a man. And when she got to his IT band, he started crying. And after the massage, she found out he was in a car accident where I think he broke his thigh bone or something. And so she was saying that she woke up that muscle memory. So I don't know why, but that popped in my head. So I said, let me finish the session. Let me go up the chakras. So because I was at the heart when this happened. So then I did the throat. She's still cursing me out in another voice. I did the third eye and it completely like regressed back into her. And it was like she just slumped down. It's like, am I really looking at this right now? So I did her crown.
You were in disbelief.
Yeah, I was just like, wow. So after I did her crown, I was like, sis, and she was like, huh? And I was like, the session is over. Are you okay? And she was like, oh, that was so relaxing. Do you remember anything from the session? Mm-mm. Okay, let me go get you some water. Let me have you sit on the couch. So I went and got her some water, and I came back, and I was just like, yeah, sis, I don't know how to tell you this, but I think you might have something on you. And she was like, I kind of figured that. And I'm thinking, like, what? You just gonna let me walk in that knife like that? Like,
Couldn't you
don't
let me
warn
know?
nobody? So I was like, okay. And so I was like, yes, sis, you need some help. And unfortunately, this out of my scope of practice, I just couldn't try to massage people. So yeah, but good luck though. I don't know what to tell you. So God thought that was funny. So God sent me 8 more people like that.
Crazy.
And so after the 7th person, I was like, this is getting out of hand. Because why are you sending me these people? I don't know what to do. So around the 9th person, that's why I said, you know what? So the movie The Exorcist popped in my mind. So I said, let me become ordained. Let me start there.
Yeah,
Because they keep coming. So I need to help these people. So that's when I became an ordained minister, December 16th, 2014. And then after that, I started looking into traditional African religions as far as getting initiated and everything. And I really started meditating with my higher self and really just getting a very, very, very strong connection with my Ori, my higher self. And they was just giving me downloads and telling me how to help the people. And my higher self literally downloaded a full energy system to me, which I now call the womb trauma release system. And so that's why I start helping to clear these blockages up on people to help them heal themselves by using my energy system. But I got thrown in it. I wanted to massage people and do facials, but they had another, plan for me.
Deep. Sister Nicki Monty, actually, we can't really see. The microphone is blocking the view of. Yes,
Okay.
indeed. Nicki Monty, what about you? What was the trigger point for the journey to start, if I may ask? Or what was the decisive moment for you to just really, just like fully, just step out of the etiquettes you've labeled yourself with? DJ producer, label owner, a radio woman, label this, label that. What was the decisive moment?
Well, before I was even really heavy into production and DJing, I knew. I worked in the music industry, so you already know about that story. But when I had a dream, I was going through a process of divorce, and I had an injunction against my ex-husband because he put a gun to my head, and I was homeless in a domestic violence shelter and all this stuff. And then, relationships with the courts, and who has money wins. So he got custody, and I was pregnant at the time, had my daughter. 10 days later, he came over with the same crap. So I jumped on a quick AirTran flight. If anybody remembers AirTran,
I remember.
It was like a $10 flight for me and my son, and we jet to New York to my mother's house. And then I had a dream when I was there at my mother's house that my son was going to be taken and he was going to drown in a pool. And it did come to fruition. So that's when, and then days later after he transitioned and we did cremate him, there were footprints in the hallway. There were his footprints in the hallway. And I was crying and I was screaming. I was like, Mommy, Juanita, my sister, Juanita, do you see this shit? And we all started breaking down, and we were like, we thought it was crazy, but we heard knocking at our door, but we just thought it was just whatever. So after that happened, then I really started to understand, because when I was younger, I dabbled in, like witchcraft and shit and, all kinds of other things. And my mother would take us to these rituals with different priests and things like that, because my father had a lot of dark trauma that he was dealing with, and she knew that it was passed on. So she was trying to deal with it the best way she knew how. And with her doing that, I started to really tap in and make like potions and all kinds of stuff, but never really went all the way through with it. But I always had an intuition. I always had some type of spiritual connection, a soul connection with different things, with plants, with food, with animals, with people that have had hardships, and I could see things. And then after that, the shit just like something just turned in my body. And then I was given the opportunity to create art, to get into photography. My son, it's as if when he left, he gave me all these gifts so that I could create income. And it became music production, it became DJing, it became photography, and all the people that needed to help me, including you, with all the things that I was doing, people just kept stepping in so that I can complete my mission with these things. And then when the medicine came, especially last year, when I went on a journey and I said, all right, I need some help. And I was following this gentleman called Chief Nighthawk, and he's here in Atlanta. And
Chief, what's because you said it a bit fast for people to
Chief
hear you.
Nighthawk, Chief Nighthawk.
Okay.
He's here in
Okay.
Atlanta, and he was my friend on Facebook for a minute, but I couldn't get the inclination to contact him. So one day it said, all right, now it's time to open that door for communication. Contacted him, real open, went there with my family, introduced myself. Next time I went there, I was doing combo, clearing myself out. I said, oh, this is great. And then he kept wanting me to learn more. So then he said, hey, come meet the family, come to the psychedelic conference. And then I met everybody doing all the medicine, and I saw how people were communicating, just going through these different stages of consciousness. Like it wasn't something that I was ever exposed to really in that type of form or fashion, like a group of people that look like me, that are doing the medicine, that have had traumas, that are processing it, that are working. And, it's ever since last year, October, when I really had the capability of learning and having mentorship, that things present themselves as they come along. And I give thanks to my ancestors for that, because Chief Nighthawk is a wonderful medicine man, great healer. He worked with my mother, and I'm noticing that as I do my medicine and I step into my journey, which I wish I could have done earlier, but I had to go through my lessons. People are popping up now and showing themselves to be allies and supportive to me on my journey. So my son was the catalyst to my awakening.
Powerful. It's amazing how when we get to respond to the calling, and no matter the form it takes, and usually in very traumatic or painful ways, it seems like, as you said very well, things unfold in very, very powerful, positive ways. Even through the challenges, you tend to see challenges in a completely with a different spectacle, using a different sorts of perspective on the actual challenge you're encountering. It's pretty amazing. And so now that you have given us perspective on your respective, callings and what has really gotten you to embrace this journey, I would like to address some questions that have been asked in the room. We have Sister Kiara will say, circling back to the initial topic regarding orgasms. When she wrote, he said, I have met women who have never had an orgasm. What is blocked in their spirit or vessel? According to Nicki Morgan, come on, tell us. According to you.
So there are many different reasons. Everything is unique. Everyone is unique. So I'll give the overarching understanding of orgasm. Orgasm is surrender.